Dirt Hills. It's the Dirt Hills. Jane's cousin or friend is somebody from there, so I called up. And she says, oh, my friend wants to tell you where you're at. And she said, I'm out in the Dirt Hills and the mountains and nowhere near nothing.
Oh, in Colorado?
When you're somewhere,
Colorado.
you're hitching a ride in the airport.
It's like a little...
Well, there's a lot of lonely
Doesn't
places
take
in
much. Once
Colorado.
you're outside of Denver, you're in fucking
Yep.
Dirt Hills.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
she said.
Out there.
That's exactly what she said.
Middle of nowhere.
So you hit the next little city, whatever.
Yeah. She said you're in the Dirt Hills in the middle of fucking... That's it. Carbon on the thing, I'm dumping it at the airport. That's it.
The kitties, I guess. Hi, Mike.
You want that little box or no?
Yeah, why not?
This is confiscated,
Yeah, the confiscated chainsaw.
Chainsaw.
All right, Mike. I guess we're not going to see you next week.
posted.
When you leaving? Next weekend you'll be going?
I don't know yet. Got appointments I'm juggling.
Yeah, he's got to see his bookie on Monday, his drug dealer on Tuesdays. Yeah.
I already saw the bookie, you already paid him.
That's good. It's always a good thing to do. Never make him come looking for it.
No, yeah, it's not.
Good night, Mike. Yep.
Nice and warm.
Yeah, it must be summer.
What was that thing called at 7:30 at the institution?
That's when they pass out the meds at the institution.
Yeah, it had some names. Like said 7:30 at the
At Bellevue.
cops.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Are we having a situation? A domestic dispute? Right down over from Mike's house. Scott, that is really not smart. We got cops all over the neighborhood and you're playing with your fucking phone while you're driving? That's all you need. They're looking for that shit too. Mike told me that. He said he's been seeing a lot of nothing but cops hiding in the bushes. Not with radar guns, but they're doing this, they're looking to catch somebody working, you know, some kind of a device while they're driving. Yeah, that had the look of a domestic. Standing out in the street in our night clothes and, you know.
Yeah.
Mike's going, why are they calling? Why did he leave here? You know?
Yeah. Don't want to lose the signal. Yeah, there's a couple of cops up the street.
Looks like a domestic dispute going on.
Right, literally one house up from you. The cops are up there,
You
yeah.
can probably see it from your window, see the flashing lights down there, and then people standing in the street in their night clothes, and you know, all kinds of shit. Something going on.
All right, we'll let you go. Dismissed. Yeah, so I can't hold the signal.
Yeah.
I wonder what that was. That's trailer park in there, right?
I don't really know. That was a house. I didn't see a trailer there. Looked like a house to me anyway, just what I can see.
Yeah, I'm supposed to get the car tomorrow at 1, and then yeah, that's it. I'll leave at my discretion. I got a couple, 3, 4 appointments in between then, so. But I don't know if I'll be out or not. I don't know.
No, let's know if you are. That's all. Find out what happens next in the last ship.
Always an asshole out there. They got to fight.
Oh yes. Otherwise, it'd be a boring TV show.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would. Yeah.
Not very realistic, like a few of them are, but
It does keep you on the edge, though.
the idea that 2 junior ratings of whatever kind can somehow manage to crew an entire submarine and train crew and everything else to run it, I don't buy that.
Oh my God! Look.
Cops are always there. That figures.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that figures.
Damn. Oh shit. Like, you ever see like some of those episodes? Like, wow, we've been here before. What do they say? We come here.
Yeah, we're here like every other day.
Yeah. Ah. Oh boy.
You know, because apparently those 2 brothers were the only 2 survivors on the submarine. All right, now, this submarine has a highly complex nuclear reactor system powering it. Not to mention the weapon systems. Where are you getting trained people to run that? I mean,
Yeah.
the chances of somebody being immune with those skills and you being able to find them in a huge world is extremely remote, you know? And none of that shit's gonna run for long if you don't know how to
They're
run
all
it.
special forces, and
Yeah, I mean, I can. He said he would. What did he say? What did he say he was? What was his rating on that boat?
one guy was.
I know they weren't officers.
I don't know.
And I know that submariners cross-train all the time, but I can imagine that the technical knowledge to run a nuclear reactor and maintain it is something that requires years of expensive education and training. You know, it's not something you can just pick up by,
Yeah.
following what the other guy does sort of thing. So that wouldn't be lasting too fucking long. Yeah, they may be able to run it for a few weeks, but after that, I don't think so. And where are your provisions coming from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Your weapons resupply. Yeah, your reactor may run a long time on its fuel. The fuel it had, I think it's 20 years or something like that, before they change the rods. But in the meantime, it's being constantly maintained, inspected, everything else upgraded. Just the computer software alone required to run something like that requires constant attention, you know?
I wonder what ship they're using
No
for the
idea.
movie shoots. It's because that's not a movie prop.
Don't
You
know.
ever see the TV show Jag?
Yeah.
Yeah, total freaking cardboard props here. Total. That they're actually filming that on a real ship.
Yeah.
Whether it's in port or it's bits and pieces.
And that's not sustainable either. Yes, you do have most of a highly trained crew on there, but again, Where's your resupply coming from? All right, they have Norfolk maybe for a little while until the part supplies run low. And that's not a nuclear-powered vessel, so they need...
Gas turbine.
Yeah, they need ship oil and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, nobody's pumping it anymore. So when you run out of that, then what? And what about the facilities required to pump that onto the ship? You know, who's operating them? So sooner or later, you're going to be dead in the fucking water. And there's also the matter of, okay, you have a crew. These crew all have families. All right, some of them, they made it to port there, went to look for theirs, and either found them or didn't. Why are they staying on the boat? You know, the government's gone. There's no more U.S. government. The president's dead. Washington's abandoned. Who are you fighting for? You know? You'd be striking out across the country trying to find out whatever scattered family you may have left. See if they lived or died. Or trying to set up a life for yourself somewhere. Because I imagine they'd stay on the boat for a while, you know, just out of habit, you know, and, well, until they figure out what their next move's going to be, but, you know, you signed your enlistment papers to what, the United States government? There is no government.
Yeah.
You know, okay, now what? You're not getting paid anymore, you know?
Out here.
Yeah.
Well, it's good for Mike's lawn. He said he needed the rain, right?
Yeah, I guess so. It's good for my berries too, but they're starting. The raspberries are coming out.
How many blackberries do you get?
Blackberries, not so many, but raspberries I get a lot. I got huge patches of raspberries.
We used to go picking in the 70s. And I knew all the spots too around North Salem to get them.
Last year was a particularly good crop. I was filling up little jars every day, sticking them in the refrigerator, having them for snacks.
Used to throw them in the cereal. That was so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Big problem what they would have is there's too many survivors. I mean, not enough to maintain civilization at the level we're familiar with it, but there's all that shit just lying around out there waiting to be picked up, you know? Every weapon you can think of, from nuclear weapons on down, is now unguarded and just sitting there.
Yep.
So who's going to be grabbing up all that shit?
But then the next
What
round
will
we
they do
got
with
to
it?
is what about the nuclear reactors?
Well, yes, that too.
That's going to be a problem
Yeah,
because they will go into shutdown mode, but
If you're lucky, there's just enough people around who know about that to keep them going, to keep the generators fueled anyway. You know, most nuclear reactors are located in large metropolitan areas or densely populated areas, like Indian Point, for instance. There's 50 million people around Indian Point in any direction, so chances are that somebody is going to know something about how to keep those generators going, or that they even have to. You know, the plant will go into automatic shutdown, but if you don't keep those generators going and keep the cooling pools flowing, you're fucked.
that's what I mean.
You know, so somebody would probably, there'd be enough people around that they may realize that needs to be done. And that'll probably be the same for most areas of the country where there are such plants, because then obviously you really don't need nuclear reactors in the middle of nowhere. You need them where there's a need for electricity, which is near big cities and shit like that. 3 Mile Island and stuff.
They address that on Life After People thing.
Yeah, well, that's just common, you know, it's a common fact of nuclear reactors. I mean, you have to, you don't just shut them down and walk away. You know, it's not like a gas generator or a coal fired plant or something like that. And if there's any trained people left at all, they're going to want to get those plants operational and keep them that way so they can have electricity. You know, I mean, that would be the difference between a very, very unpleasant life or a fairly comfortable one. Just the fact of having electricity, even if it's just around the plant itself. You know, you can gather the survivors right there at the facility, move them into the fucking office buildings and shit. You got light, you got heat. And you would not have to really worry about fueling the reactor for a very long time. It'd be good for quite a while.
Didn't they do that on The Stand with Stephen King?
I don't recall them doing anything with a reactor, no.
Oh, but they would do it as a regular power plant, right?
Yes, they got a regular power plant going in Denver, Colorado. Or Boulder. Boulder, Colorado. Yes.
Like, here it
And
goes.
that's another, so I guess King didn't know much about nuclear power plants. So, you know, that part of his scenario was never addressed. Because if anything, nuclear power plants back in the 80s were even less automated than they are today. And they would have needed more attention. There's no way in hell they would have, you know, survived that.
I like the end. Get that thing out of here.
It's actually amazing how many people don't realize the danger of those plants from that. Yeah, everybody thinks nuclear accidents. Oh, a pipe breaks, there's a breach in the containment facility building, whatever, and it lets radiation out. That's not the problem with nuclear reactors at all. Why are you even worried about that shit? It's remote, very rarely fucking happens. Yeah, 3 Mile Island was an accident. Shit does happen, but very rarely. What you better worry about is those fucking nuclear spent fuel rods that are cooking away in those pools all the time, because if there ever is an event that reduces the population, like can happen, pandemics, even a nuclear war, you know, what happens if a nuclear bomb falls in the area and irradiates the area and kills everybody? Now this plant is still there, and it keeps on operating. When that goes, you have even more radiation plowing up into the atmosphere. You know, nobody thinks of that. They think if there's ever a big disaster or some shit like that, they can just, you know, start farming in their backyard and eat the spam from the fucking basement. Yeah, not on the Northeast, you're not.
Yeah.
Not on the entire eastern seaboard or the western seaboard. You better be in Idaho somewhere and hope the winds are blowing away from you. Because guess what, you know? When those fucking nuclear facilities, and it's not just nuclear power plants, you have smaller reactors too that are used for research in certain research facilities. You have military reactors, all kinds of shit. Well, when they go too, they're just as radioactive. Chemical plants, you know, God knows what's cooking away there, and what happens when there's no more. So, you know, there are certain chemicals that require an extreme amount of cooling to remain stable. And they don't get that cooling, they turn extremely unstable and explosive. So they're kaboom, big fires, everything else going on. But of course, the big worry is the radiation. If this was 1945 and it happened, you know, okay, the world would just quietly go to sleep and that's it. Everything was shut down. But not today. Today you might have a couple weeks and that's it. Once those generators start to shut down.
What was the problem in Chernobyl?
Oh, basically they fucked up. It was human error is what it was. They shut down the wrong pumps. There wasn't enough cooling getting to the actual core, and it went supernova basically and blew up, you know. Overheated and exploded.
Yeah, the guy's like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, they were running a test.
He's like,
and they fucked up the test.
The engineer's like, but that's not a good idea. So I'm in charge here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, under the Soviet system, when the one in charge said something, you obeyed or risked extreme consequences. I mean, there really isn't anywhere in North America where you would be safe from radiation in the event of a real, if every single power plant in the country simply was abandoned for whatever the reason. You're not going to walk away from it. You're going to die from radiation poisoning. Most of Canada, too. You have to go to the fucking North Pole, somewhere deep into South America. I don't know the proliferation of nuclear power in South America, but it's not as, I know it's not on a par with ours. So you may be safe way down by Antarctica somewhere, but it's going to get you. And let's not forget the plumes coming out of Europe, Russia, China,
Iran.
Yeah, well, yeah, there too. They have nuclear power plants. Yeah.
Yeah, we made nice with them
Japan.
the other day.
Yep. Well, that still has to pass Congress, but yeah, Japan. You know, basically every first world type economy has nuclear power. From South Korea to India, they all have nuclear power plants, and they're all operating the same way, and they all have the same problems, same dangers, I should say. It's not a problem so long as things remain on even keel. You know, the plant is fully staffed, it's fully supplied, there's no gigantic natural disasters going on or man-made disasters. It's only when, you know, the personnel in a society, or the people in a society, fall below a certain level where they can no longer maintain the normal infrastructure that you have a problem. And a pandemic would do that, because it doesn't kill everybody, but it kills enough people that now, okay, you no longer have enough people operating the oil fields. You no longer have enough people running the trucks and the trains that transport the oil, maintaining the oil pipelines, which are very labor, intensive, maintenance intensive, to keep the oil flowing from the oil fields to the centers where they get truck shipped and rail shipped. And then you don't have enough people to run the refineries, to refine the shit, or to truck it to the locations where it's needed, you know, the regional distribution centers. Which means that now your power plants are no longer being fueled, your generators are no longer being fueled once the local supply runs out. And even if they were, there are enough actual warm bodies there to run the plant. You think of how many people run a nuclear power plant every day. You have hundreds of people there. Yeah, some of them are office drones and basically people you could do away with and not really notice, but there's plenty there that are physically involved in maintaining the facility, keeping the things going, monitoring the gauges, opening the valves, whatever's got to be done. And when they're gone, or there's not enough of them to do it, you know, you say you got 2 guys left out of 200, then what are you going to do?
A buddy of mine works one down in down in Virginia.
Oh, yeah? Which one?
Oh, my buddy Sam from the Navy.
Not the guy. I said, which plant?
Oh. Which one? North Anna. Have you ever heard of it?
How many reactors do they have?
A couple? Oh, I don't know. There's a couple of different ones down there. He works both.
Well, I mean on the one facility. Is it 2 reactors, 3 reactors, 4?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. I don't know. If you told me, I forgot. Don't remember.
It's like Indian Point has 2. 3 Mile Island, I believe, originally had 2, but now, of course, there's only 1. And or maybe they had 3, and now there's 1. I forget.
I don't know. I just remember the pictures. There's in 3 Mile Island. There's at least 2.
Well, there's the one that's slagged, and there's the one that's still operational.
Ah.
Never did shut down. As far as I'm aware, it's still going.
Me and Jane drove by it. And we saw it in the distance briefly, and then it was like a glimpse.
Yeah. Came very close to a catastrophic meltdown. No one even realized it at the time.
Jane's all happy that...
I never thought much of Jimmy Carter as a politician.
He was a nuclear engineer, though.
I never thought much of him as a president, really, to tell the truth. But I will never say that man didn't have balls. Yes, or was not he was a nuclear engineer, but in the middle of that fucking disaster, he actually went there, toured the fucking plant while there was radiation leaks going on, looked into everything, got a first-hand, idea, and that helped calm people quite a bit. Oh, the president's at Indian Point? Well, I guess it's not that bad after all,
right.
But he went there, he did it. He could have hidden in his bunker in D.C. and no one would have thought twice about it, but he went over there and did it. So that much I do give him a lot of credit for that.
How old is he now?
Oh my God, he's in his 90s. Whatever fuck-ups this president he did plenty of them.
Yeah.
He made up for it in that one moment. And I remember watching that on TV.
I do. I remember seeing that, yeah.
I remember watching the presidents at Indian Point. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, yeah.
That's not, must not be too bad if the president's there, They're not going to put the president where you're going to get hurt or anything, so, But he understood the process. He understood the machinery and everything that was being done. And so he needed to get a first-hand idea of what was really happening, and that was the only way to do it, I guess. Just simply go there, because it was fucking chaos. They had like I think at one point, 2 phone lines going into the control room and 200 people trying to call in, you know? So that wasn't working out too well. But they didn't know until recently how badly slagged that reactor was. They sent in cameras, and then they found out the extent of the damage and realized how close they came to the real nightmare scenario.
Well, 7 years later, Russia would have it.
Yeah, Chernobyl was until Fukushima, Chernobyl was the worst.
My favorite was the guy in the helicopter and open the window so I get a better picture.
Yeah, well, they did, yeah,
He
total
said-
ignorance of it.
Yeah, and then he said he tasted like metallic.
Yeah, strontium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I opened the window to get a better picture.
Yeah, that was a reporter doing that, I guess. But the soldiers themselves, they knew, they understood, because they were basically told, this is the situation. If we do not cap this reactor, it is going to continue to get worse, spewing shit in the atmosphere, and sooner or later, it's going to contaminate your families
I like
and
the 2
kill
guys
everybody you
fishing
know.
on the side of the
Yeah,
creek there.
well, they didn't know either. I
And
mean,
they're watching the show all night,
yeah.
watching the glow and the pretty lights. And
Yep. So for the next, month and a half, 2 months, they got volunteers to go in there on those helicopters and climb up on the roofs and start shoveling highly radioactive
Yes.
shit and everything else. And every one of them understood what was going to happen. They knew they were going to die. They knew it. They did it anyway. Because they understood that if they didn't do it, it was the end of their country, it was the end of their families, the end of everything. You know, because that disaster would have gotten worse and worse and worse. It contaminated all of Western Europe, all of fucking, Western Russia.
it's a big cement dome.
And then they had to build the dome, which they're now reinforcing because it's deteriorating.
The anniversary's coming up next year, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then, of course, the government tried to lie about it and everything else, but that didn't work out.
Alarms are going off all over.
Although, yeah, everywhere. They panicked a couple of nuclear power plants in Sweden and somewhere else because alarms were going off. They thought it was them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they realized it was coming from the outside, not the inside. Yeah, the damage from that is going to be felt for generations to come. Especially in Ukraine, Birth defects, everything else, it's terrible. And the abandoned city, which is not as abandoned as they like to think it is. Well,
People go in there and
well, there have been all kinds of videos shot there under official guidelines and stuff, but it's obvious, just looking at the videos, that there's been metal stripping going on there, and a lot of it. Nature took care of some of that, but you can see where copper's been torn out of walls and sinks are missing and personal possessions are gone, that kind of thing. Obviously, there's been systematic looting of the city going on for quite some time. Now, all of those people would have exposed themselves to massive amounts of radiation. Many are probably dead, and the rest will have cancers and everything else.
all for the copper.
Yeah,
And they can sinks and whatever the hell else.
yeah. Looting apartments, taking personal possessions and whatever they can find. I guess locating nuclear power plants in heavily populated areas is probably not a very good move. And if we had to do it again, we probably wouldn't do that. But when Indian Point was first opened up in 1952 or 53, somewhere around there, the population in this area was, in Buchanan anyway, was fairly sparse. It wasn't, like it is today. They really didn't think ahead to think of how many people would be in New York City and in the surrounding areas. This is before the interstate highway system went in and people started moving upstate. Now you have a huge population on every side of that facility. So if there ever was an accident, it would be catastrophic. Where do you move 50 million people. Because if you take in the populations in North Jersey, in Connecticut, Massachusetts, all here in the counties surrounding it, upstate New York, and of course the big one in New York City itself, Long Island. I mean, where do you move these people? Where do you go? Where does that many people go? Where are they going to run? You know, who's going to feed them? Who's going to house them? Who's going to clothe them? The infrastructure for that simply does not exist to absorb that many refugees. Party night. They can talk all they want about evacuation plans and all that bullshit. There is no evacuation plan, not really. Not that's feasible, that would work, if anything ever did happen. You know, that's all just so the politicians could say they have a plan, but they don't really. Absolutely unmanageable. And even in their tests doesn't work, you know. They'll tell you to shelter in place.
Yeah.
Seal your doors and windows with duct tape and plastic and shelter in place. But the problem is, you know, there's old Mr. Murphy. If it ever does happen, I guarantee you it will be in the middle of the fucking busiest work day of the goddamn year. Everybody's on the road, you know, in school, at work, and boom, that's when it'll hit.
I remember after that movie, Reagan said, you know, well, you know, he watched that when that was on TV. What was it, the day after tomorrow or something?
The day after.
The day after, yeah. And then when that came out, Reagan said he watched that. Him and his wife watched that.
I watched it too.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. That was probably the most frightening movie they put on the air in the 80s. It's everybody's worst nightmare, really.
So I can't remember who. So what? Somebody drop a bomb on us, or
they didn't really say how it started. It's just that some situation in Europe got out of hand, it spiraled out of control, and then the bomb started flying. You know, it was just really a movie about the survival or attempted survival of a local community in the event of a catastrophic war like that, a nuclear war.
Yeah, it was out west somewhere, right?
It was in Kansas. Kansas City, Kansas, and then the surrounding environs. And everybody's worst fucking nightmare is the first 15 minutes of Dawn of the Dead, the remake. You know, when you go to sleep and it's a perfectly ordinary, orderly world and everything's the way it's supposed to be and everything's safe and nice and calm, and you wake up to absolute fucking chaos of the worst kind.
Here.
Yeah, right there. See it? It doesn't look like it rained here.
I don't know.
No, the ground's perfectly dry. Look at it.
If it rained, it drizzled.
Yeah.
No, it rained. Sure it did.
Did it? I don't see a lot. I don't. The road. Okay, a little.
Yeah,
a little bit here, but strangely enough, down there it looked dry.
More tree cover.
Maybe.
Where's Tiger?
Running around somewhere, sleeping, I imagine. Or disemboweling something.
And when does this thing go away?
That's going away Monday. All right, Scott.
I'll let you Let me know when the old
Yeah,
man
let us know, and we'll go from there and figure it out what we're gonna do.
Let me know when the old man gets a ladder. He said he's gonna get a ladder. So.
Yeah, he'll try.
Oh, I got boxes.